Well, welcome, everybody. We have a presentation today from Lori Fox and Jason Wagner. Lori Fox is the Assistant Director and Manager for Educational Technology at SUNY Geneseo's Computer and Information Technology Department. Jason Wagner is the Assistant Director of Instructional Technology Services within the Art Sciences and Engineering, or AS&E, departments at the University of Rochester. Today, Lori and Jason will be talking to us about inventive ways to promote our faculty development programs. Take it away, Jason and Lori.
Okay, well, thank you, Jeremiah, for an introduction. I think that you can probably figure out which of us are along the bottom of your screen or top or wherever your images are, although Jason is incognito with the handsome goatee today. So you got to figure that one out. Just to let you know, Jason and I have actually similar career paths where we both started in a different area of support of technology. I was primarily desktop support, and I believe, Jason, you started in the classroom arena.
Classrooms and labs, and yep.
So both of us actually have deep career in technology support, and now we're in the instructional, educational technology arena. So when Jason and I were talking last week as we were preparing this session, we actually were very excited at our shared experiences and the ability to work together. I do want to let you know that we are not going to be offering you the silver bullet of how to promote your programs. We're going to be working together to create a document that, that we can share and reference. I actually facilitated this for some SUNY colleges about a month ago, and it went fantastic. So I'm anticipating a similar thing today. Jason, is there anything you want to say as far as introduction?
No, I think we're in good shape. We're hoping, our goal as moderators is we'll kind of pose the question, and then we'd like to encourage discussion among everybody to tell us what you're doing, what works at your school, and how it's gone for you.
Okay. So just a quick my Zoom meeting etiquette slide. We encourage you to talk. I think most of you have microphones today. And we are going to create a Google Doc that we can share with each other. So if you're not talking, be careful how loud you type, because of course that can sound loud. And also towards the end, we're going to have kind of a show and tell opportunity. So we actually are going to give you permission to share your screen if there's something you want to show. And don't pick your nose when you're on camera. Okay, so we consider this an interactive webinar. And as such, I made a tiny URL where you can open up our Google Doc, and I will actually put it on our screen. So you can see what it looks like. So I created a Google Doc that anyone with the link can edit. I thought it would be helpful, and actually, Jeremiah, this gives us a little bit of an attendance list too, if people would just pick a row and enter your name and contact information. And then on each page of the Google Doc, we are going to answer some questions together. So the first question I have, and actually we're going to use the Google Doc, Jason, now to move things along. So the first question is, let's define this. What are we promoting? So for example, at Geneseo, one of the things that we're working on is professional development comes from a lot of different areas. So we are working at Geneseo to try to consolidate workshops, like maybe even technology workshops or pedagogy workshops with invited speakers and other opportunities. So I'm seeing some typing. You guys are already doing great. Technology workshops, drop-in sessions, vendor workshops, classroom observation service, small group instructional feedback, semester-long series. So it looks, Jason, like we're talking about similar things.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll dive into what these are more as we go through the questions. Oh, happy hour. You must not, oh, teaching and learning happy hour. Okay, that's not as exciting. But I get it. Okay, so Jason, let's move on to question number 2.
Okay. So, what are the hot topics on your campus? What's going on that is spurring the need for this development, or otherwise triggering your interest as instructional technologists?
So the thing that I'm worried about right now, Jason, is we have a new intersession where we're going to do 3-week courses. And we actually were fortunate to have 3 Brockport faculty come visit us a few weeks ago to talk about their experience in teaching a super shortened intersession. Our intersession starts in 3 weeks. We have about 30 courses, and last time I looked, only 3 of them had content. So that's pretty scary.
Yeah, no, I actually have a meeting later on this afternoon about convincing some professors of a graduate level course who are global leaders in their field about the work they're going to have to do to stand up a distance learning course. Mm-hmm. And it's a specialized field. I mean, we're teaching it with Lawrence Livermore and UCSD, but they'd never been through any kind of instructional design before. They'd never taught online before. We have to convince them that there's going to be a lot of development work between now and January 8th when they want to do this,
right,
if they're going to be successful. And it's taken me almost 3 weeks to convince them that they need to meet with me at all. So it's been like pulling teeth.
So who entered the alternatives to student evaluations? Can you tell us some more about that?
Hi, everyone. This is Michael Starenko from RIT.
Hi.
Hi. I put that down because there was a major academic Senate task force last year that was assigned to look into this, and there was a lot of debate about whether student evaluations provide valid and equitable information, and also student government has taken a lead in making the results of student evaluations more transparent. So there's, I guess one of the upshots is there seems to be agreement that peer review or peer observation is a good alternative, but no one's sure how to scale that or how to make that a reality.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Do you want to go on to question number 3?
Sure.
Then I assume, so we're going to come back and then talk about what we have on each one, or?
Yeah, I think that's
okay,
a
great.
good idea. Yep.
Okay.
Okay, number 3. What communication methods work best?
Hi, I have a question. I'm having trouble typing into the document. Is there something I need to do?
Are you logged into Google? I think you just have to have a Google account to be able to edit it.
Oh, okay. I'll open up. So I'll open up another window and log in.
Okay.
Are you trying to edit it in the Zoom window, or did you open it in a browser? Because you have to open it in a separate browser.
Yeah, so I need to log into my Google Docs.
Right.
All right, let me do that.
And I can go grab the URL again and copy that here.
I pasted the URL into the group chat.
Oh, thank you. I'm seeing a theme. Okay, Jason, you ready to go to 4?
Okay, we can go to number 4. How can we successfully get the attention of those who can benefit from what we do? And I don't know if this became a later question. Is this the one about moving beyond the usual suspects? One of the things we've noticed here is that we have a select core of people who we know are interested in developing their skills as good teachers, let's say, but how do I find the people who might be on the fringes of that so we can engage them and encourage them to step up their game too?
Oh, I can't wait to come back and talk about this one, the thoughts on stipends.
Yeah, I did that.
Did we talk about this last week, Jason?
No, it's just something to come up for me in the last couple of days.
Yeah, we tried it. Over the summer, we did our first really sponsored, like an online teaching workshop that was a day and a half. And when the invited instructor went around and asked people why they were there, and there were probably only 25 people in the group, 3 or 4 of them said, I'm here because he's paying me to be here.
Mm-hmm.
They were there for the money. They weren't
As
there.
opposed to, I want to be a good teacher.
Right. Yep. Oh, and I love the attending other events to promote your event. That's pretty sneaky. Okay, number 5. What have you tried that surprised you, either for working or for spectacularly failing? Okay, I'm going to move on to 6 so we have time to loop back.
Okay.
How do we focus our scope and avoid becoming all things to all people? I like the idea of either cold or warm referring people. It's funny, in our suite, which is clearly labeled educational technology, we had 2 people this morning coming in looking for help desk type assistance. We're not the help desk.
Do they resist when you, hand
When
them
I
off
send them
properly?
away.
Yeah.
Neither of them did. I mean, one said, oh my goodness, it's been a long time, because the help desk was here about 4 years ago.
Yeah.
He said, it's been a long time since I've been up in the academic buildings. Okay, that's fair. And the other one said, I know, but you're all so nice. I was hoping you would lend me XYZ. No,
Yep.
I'm not lending you my adapter out of my own bag. That never works out.
Right. Or that they know that, but you know how to help me. You guys are so good at this. And
Right.
all of a sudden you're in for a penny and in for a pound. And
Right.
next thing you know, you're their, concierge.
Everything.
Whole thing.
Right. Right. Okay, so then is show and tell. So Jason, I think we should go back to question number 2.
Okay.
And so this is one of yours. Let's talk about the hot topics. Are there things that we want to pick out of here to talk about?
Okay.
Or does anybody have one that they'd like to?
Well, I can tell you about one that we're working on here and see what that starts. I think that may that's going to link the new interest in online learning and the student identity verification. So after being very proud of being a residential school, which we're going to remain, there is a renewed interest here in undergraduate online learning, which is, I think, a function of our new dean, who began last summer, and also an interest in revenue that we haven't tapped yet, to the point where we're going to have, for the first time ever, potentially 5 or so fully online courses starting next summer. And that has triggered some academic honesty questions about verifying the students are who they say they are, in a world where this is something that was new to me, that there is contract for hire online cheating. You can hire a firm to take your online course for you, which that was, I was on the one hand, I was impressed. On the other hand, I was shocked that this was a thing. And that's triggered a whole series of questions here. But it's, for us, it's spinning up a support model to help these people, be prepared to teach online. We're going to run them through some courses at the Warner School, including one that's excellent. It might be taught by Lisa Brown, and which I'm a student in right now. But they're going to get a new version of that in the over the winter, so that when they come out of that, they have a fully designed course and they're ready to teach, and they're fluent in the set of tools that our team can support. That they probably have never used before. So it's gonna be a lift, but we're gonna get in there between now and June when this starts. That's That's one hot topic that's going on here.
Was it one person that talked about your new, or do you have a new learning management system, new LTIs and Top Hat? That's a lot going on. Who entered that?
Okay, so I did. Hi, I'm Jenna Linskens, and I'm
Hi,
from Ithaca
Jenna.
College. So yeah, we have a lot of different projects that are going on. We're working with our so it's the library, the Center for Faculty Excellence, and then our department, the Teaching and Learning with Technology, and we're just starting to investigate active learning spaces. But the biggest thing is the strategic plan for the campus. So the entire campus is going through a new strategic plan. So as part of that, there's a lot of things that are going on which are maybe going to end up being even bigger projects because of the strategic plan. So like the active learning spaces, we have a faculty member that brought team-based learning on campus about 3 years ago. So that's starting to spread. We have constant updates going into Sakai. So, and then the big thing is the testing. And how do you test students, right? How do you check for their understanding in different areas? So we have some faculty that are still using the traditional optical scanning. We just did a self-service station for optical scanning, so they do it all themselves. It's all just click and go. And then we have we're trying Top Hat, which is a student response system, kind of like a poll everywhere.
We have Top Hat. We licensed it for the whole campus.
Awesome. Yeah. Are you using, Lori, the testing? Have you tried the secure testing piece of it yet?
We have not, because we're on Canvas and we have Respondus lockdown browser. Testing is a big thing, and it's in my performance program this year to replace optical scanning. Because it's an expensive system to maintain, and we actually have a staff member who probably spends about 25% of her time or more now, right, as the semester comes to an end. But boy, optical scanning is a pretty solid technology that's hard to replace, I think.
Are you talking about scanning for bubble sheets of exams?
Yeah.
Or okay, we should talk about GradeScope if we haven't heard about that yet.
What's GradeScope? I got to get a piece of paper.
So GradeScope, you would scan an exam. It could be a mathematical exam with a defined answer. It could be a bubble sheet. It could also be a short answer. For the mathematical stuff, you would define the correct answer on the key to the exam, and then it would scan all the exams, and then it would group all the question ones together, and then it would score them based upon the key rules and rubric that you've provided. So it could, if the integral of dVdx was supposed to be whatever the answer is to that for this equation, student writes that in the answer box, and then it'll automatically parse the exam by student, score the entire thing, and then if you decide later on you're 30 exams in and you come across something that should be partial credit, if you make that change, it'll fix it on all of them going backward. We're up to, I think, over 1,000 students using it here, and it could also be used for homework. It does offer the same kind of functions for bubble sheets without specialized hardware. We've only been on it since June, I'd say.
So who scans them? The teacher?
The instructor or their associates.
And Jason, is that the one that goes through like the copy machine? They do it on a copy.
You could do it through. So I have people, and they're doing it now through their normal departmental multifunction device. We did investigate acquiring a high-speed, high-capacity scanner. We were looking at a Fujitsu that was just over $5,000, but we read just about as we were going to make that purchase, and we actually got a grant award to buy one yesterday I think we're going to defer that because we convinced Xerox, who is our copying provider here, to give us a access to a private multifunction device so that instructors could go there with an exam, have room to spread out a little bit, and then run the exams through, and then save the PDFs to a flash drive. And then you upload that to Gradescope, and it processes everything. But it has the opportunity to potentially take a lot of work out of exam scoring.
So can I ask a question? What's the level? Is it undergrad or grad? Are these service courses where you're seeing instructors looking for that type of large-scale assessment?
For Gradescope or
for OpScan type applications in general?
So both. So I think it's both undergraduate and graduate. Our business school wants to use bubble sheets, and Scantron on this campus, I think, died about a year, maybe 2 years ago. It's been something they're looking for a while. And most of your users of Gradescope now seem to be the larger lecture courses where you have a large enrollment, and it's then difficult to grade that exam. But we're going to try to move it into psychology also, which uses a combination of bubble sheet and short answer. But it will, let's say, group all of if questions 1 through 5 were all short answer questions, and the instructor laid out a key of what the right answers were, it's going to group all of the question ones together. And then if I was the TA who was going to score question 1, it could just show me question 1, and then could show Lori question 2, and you can lay your rubric against question 1, and then just go right down the line. No moving of exams around the table, and it's going to probably decrease the pizza and beer budget that they spend on TAs, because grading should become much easier. It's been a good product. We're still finalizing some things for the integration with LMS for single sign-on and such, but they've been relatively easy to work with, and the support has been good.
So to answer your question from Ithaca Colleges, we have a huge HSHP, the Health and Human Sciences and Human Performance area. And so a lot of times it's our faculty that have to create these tests that are related to boards, exams, and things like that. And so one of the biggest problems that we were encountering is that 3 years ago, we lost our staff member who was responsible for doing all of the optical scanning. And they weren't using scanning just for exams, for student exams. They were using it for course evals as well.
Right.
So we stopped that about a year ago when we brought on the Smart Eval program. So the faculty are now using Smart Eval, or they can use Qualtrics for their surveys. So we've addressed that. And then now by adding the self-service option, so we worked with Scantron. They took what we wanted to do the scanning. They created a wrapper. And so now the faculty member can go into our faculty learning space, choose their name from the drop down, put their stack right on the scanner, and click score. And it runs it through, and it auto sends an email right to them with a zip file of all their data. So we don't have to worry about having anybody, because we were stretched way too thin. It ended up being a service desk person, a service desk manager that was doing all of the scanning on top of her other position. So she would get bombarded here at the end of the semester, and it wasn't a sustainable model anymore. So we're trying this, and we've had a lot of positive feedback from the faculty who use the optical scanning. They are more than thrilled. In fact, I probably see 5 or 6 faculty members a day using the self-service station. And on the rare occasion, one person will go in and ask for the white glove service. And it's usually because they have subtests, which are unique identifiers that they can't do on the self-service option. The self-service just does the real basic scan. But if they have special identifiers that we have to go into the back end of the software and set those, that's where our white glove service comes in.
So do you think, I feel like if we did a self-serve station, I would hope that it would drop the number of people who use optical scanning, because there's so many other ways they could do it. But it sounds like you didn't experience a drop in people using it.
So that I haven't checked that yet. We'll see at the end of the semester when I run the numbers. It's my usual suspects that are coming in, that are using it. But we were upwards of 300 faculty members that were using optical scanning. So out of a faculty of 800.
Mm-hmm.
So, almost a third of the faculty, right?
Sure.
So we'll see once this, after this is our first semester with the self-serve option. So we'll see what it looks like, and then I can check again in the spring and see if there's any change. I do have a lot of faculty that are interested in looking at Top Hat Test, and I did see Gradescope. They were actually at EDUCAUSE because they were promoting that they just had this new partnership with Turnitin. So we're looking at maybe piloting a couple of those different ones to see if the faculty would want to buy in on any of those. Others have actually gone to using Sakai quizzes. Sakai is our LMS. So
right.
We've had a lot of faculty that they've started just using Sakai quizzes, and they've realized that you can run a 10 question quiz in Sakai a lot faster than you can run a bubble sheet.
Sure.
So
sure. Thank you. Jason, anything else we want to highlight?
Any other good ones on this? I see a new leadership coming in. We're going to get a new president here. I think will be announced the end of December perhaps, and we'll see if when that person starts. But we got a new dean last summer, so there's some changes there for us. Who had that one, and what's going on at your school?
That was Michael and I at RIT. Yeah, it's always kind of interesting, right? At a time of change, do you wait for the new person to set the agenda, or ideally, do you show them what you do? So I think not being paralyzed by the process of selecting new leadership has been the pattern for us over the summer.
Okay. I also saw on here AV and VR, or AR and VR, and that seems to be a hot topic everywhere. There was a discussion here in the library about doing some work with VR, and I am aware of a potential language learning VR project here that would be in conjunction with their undergraduate business program, where they would essentially create business situations like a business lunch or a conference call where they would use VR, and they would have to immerse themselves in the language. So that's an upcoming thing too. All right, next question.
So communication methods. This one is so hard. I mean, I put face-to-face. We do, I guess my favorite story about this is I was doing a training for communicating with your class, and I was giving faculty different options that they could use. And a faculty member said to me, "Can you make students read email?" And I said, "No. Did you all read the email I sent yesterday that announced new training?" And they were all like, no, we didn't read that. Unfortunately, email is an easy thing to do, right? But especially when we use a listserv, we find that not many people read it. A personal email, people are more likely to read, but that's hard to scale.
Yeah, I've been doing that here for a few years in my previous role, and I've kind of continued it on here, where I get an email list from the registrar that I translate into by common classroom location and specifics. So let's say that Hubble Auditorium is our largest auditorium. So dear Hubble instructors, they get it's personalized at least about the location and then the features of that room, and then it tends to kick off some discussion amongst not all of the instructors, but enough that we're able to develop some conversations that spin out of that and offer some resources and assistance. It is very tedious to do that times 200 spaces, let's say, but at least it's been a start. What else do we see here? For the person who mentioned hand selecting faculty, how do we, you can do that, I guess, how do we do that and avoid the usual suspects problem?
Yeah, I was one of the many people who wrote hand select faculty. That specific instance was, we knew we wanted to do an advanced discussion. We called it discussion moves, right? Uptake and moving beyond the pattern of having students write one thing and respond to 3 things. And for that actually was a victory in not pulling in the usual suspects.
Oh, good.
Because that was specifically power users of the discussion tool on the LMS.
Okay. One of the things I've been wanting to do, but I haven't quite implemented yet, is just the idea of getting out, even if it's at, just at lunchtime, trying to eat my lunch not at my desk, but go to an area where many faculty pass through and congregate, and just, hey, how's it going? When you see them go by, and if you can get them to, yes, this spot is open. Sit down for a few minutes and talk to you about whatever, even if it's about their interest in pickleball. If that starts some kind of relationship or lets them ask a question, I'm trying to maybe get that going in January.
One of my colleagues goes to the happy hour for faculty on Friday.
Yep.
And a lot of my service requests are, I heard at happy hour.
Yeah, well, I'm eager to start that here.
All right, let's go on to number 4, how to get attention. Okay. Well, let's talk a little. I talked a little bit about stipends. Does anyone offer stipends for attending professional development or participating in things on your campus?
Yeah, I'll throw in a quick no. We've tried it in the past, and we had many of the similar patterns I think you were describing earlier. Faculty quite unabashedly said, I'm here for the beer money. I don't think external motivators motivate the behavior that you want to see as well as intrinsic motivators do.
So,
I would say, at my previous institution, the first thing we used for our seminars and things like that was food. It goes a long way. But as far as actual money, we did have an extended program that we did where it was an online teaching training program, and faculty got, if they were grad students going through the program, they got $500. If they were faculty, they got $1,000. And they signed on understanding that we had to write off on what they were doing. They had to actually submit a course that met all the requirements that we stated, or they weren't going to get paid. But that also had the buy-in from the office of the provost and a bunch of other offices, and it wasn't.
So we just did a grant program evaluation yesterday, and I believe that as we funded the proposals, on a line item basis, stipends were not part of the grant. However, the grants awarded, but they do seem to be the motivator to get people to redesign their course or to get them to evolve, absent some kind of a monetary thing, reward for doing this. Some of the effort involved or commitment seems to not quite be there. For the folks who may be teaching online this summer, the Dean's Office, I think, is going to offer a $1,000 stipend for them taking the course at the Warner School, and then modifying or creating a new course to teach online, in addition to what they would get paid to teach the course. Some folks have also worked with our Center for Excellence in Teaching and Learning, and they have a different program that is specifically designed to fund teaching. It's called a Teaching Innovation Grant, and that one is used almost exclusively to fund stipends to encourage course redesign, and that seems to be the thing that motivates people for better or worse.
Mm-hmm.
But I wish it wasn't necessary, but it for our world it seems to be.
I agree with you on that, Jason. We did that. We have a 3-year project that we're doing where our instructional designer in TLT is working with the Center for Faculty Excellence to do a summer, like a 1-week workshop with like a handful of faculty members, and they're receiving last year's group received a Windows tablet device. So there have been some different types of incentives, and then of course when we try to include a faculty to be one of the presenters or one of the keynotes as part of our workshops or our sessions, and if they agree to that and they help lead that, then we try to provide them with like a small gift card of some sort for a local shopping or local dining or whatever. So just as a thank you. But the big thing is we always tell them, like, we will have, so I work with Mark Fink here at IC. And so Mark will write a letter, which they can then put in their in their P&T portfolio. So, sometimes, even giving them like, here, if you do this, we'll give you a letter to verify, that they are doing their local service.
Okay, let's go on to number 5. Okay, the surprises. So we are launching a blog today, and I'm worried about the Faculty Commons internal blog that didn't take off. Who tried it? Oh, maybe it was
would
Bob.
be would be RIT.
Hi.
Hi.
And
So this was loosely modeled on a system developed by CUNY, the City University of New York, and we provide different incentives for faculty to join, and it was intended to be a comfortable, mostly private space for faculty to faculty communication.
Okay.
But it just didn't develop a critical mass. I don't know, Jeremiah, do you have any thoughts on lessons learned?
We didn't design it like CUNY's blog in a couple critical ways. I think if we had done it the way CUNY did, it would be a little more open. But there was a perception at the time that faculty needed the safety of knowing that it was a faculty-only space. And that necessarily cut people out of the conversation, like TAs who are kind of professionalizing as faculty in some cases, right? I think, and my line below was the faculty Slack. I think I put it in the same class of things. Faculty didn't need another walled garden, right? So this kind of faculty-only blog space where there were 2 usual suspects starting all the threads and talking to one another never really got that critical mass. So it was a learning experience.
I'm the one we tried webinars, and we did it last year during intersession because most of our campus leaves during intersession, and we wanted to continue the professional development, and I wanted people to be able to do it from wherever they were. And despite the fact that I said, join from anywhere, be anywhere, the 1 or 2 people that showed up actually came to our offices It was very strange. And we continued to not get any attendance for these events. What people really wanted was for us to record it so they would have an opportunity to watch it later. So we've also done some of that, and then you go look at the views, and the only views are me and the guy next to me making sure that they're working. So that's kind of discouraging. And when I offer food, I get the same 3 hungry people at every workshop. So even food I've become kind of not very excited about. Well, in our teaching and learning center, last time we offered something with food, they ordered 1 dozen cookies for 24 participants, and that was awkward.
Nobody will ever remember that you had too much, but they'll remember that you ran out, right?
Right.
Yep.
So how many of you try and drag students in for these discussions? Because I'll say that another thing that we had a lot of success with, very popular sessions, were student panels.
Okay.
Where we had faculty able to listen to students talking about what it's like to be a student at the institution. And we did a different subgroup of students every term, made sure the students all had the questions in advance so they were prepared for it. But it gave the students a chance to talk to their faculty. You know, a great thing was we were doing one on students using technology. And we said, so what technologies do you use that your faculty aren't familiar with or they don't use in the classroom? And they started talking about their various flashcard tools as well as everything they did with Google Docs. Another presentation that we had a lot of success with, we partnered with the Office of Support for Students with Disabilities, in that they had a student who was on the autism spectrum, and it was his personal crusade to make people more aware of what it's like to be someone on the spectrum. And he gave a presentation of, this is what makes my life difficult in your class. And just the idea of partnering up with those different groups who might have access to students that could give insights to faculty.
It's so interesting that you say that, because when we talk to faculty about organizing course content, I've had a couple people that say, I don't bother to organize it. I just put it in the files area and students can dig around and see what they find. And we said to them, but that's difficult for the students. Well, I've never had anyone complain. Well, you're in a position of authority. Students aren't going to complain, but it might be, I can see where you could kind of depersonalize who students are talking to so that they would be brave and say, it's confusing when you don't put our content into modules or folders for us to find it. I like that idea.
And it's also great, especially if you can get the students right as they're about to graduate. And you can say, you know, what would you tell your faculty who are about to be working with the next crop of students?
And this might be something that, as I try to stand up the happy hour, teaching and learning happy hour thing, that maybe students get invited to part of that to talk about their experience, or, you know, how they fit in this, because this is a two-way street with them being the end consumers of what we're trying to help the faculty do.
Okay, so we only have about a little more than 5 minutes left. Let's talk real quickly about question 6. I feel the pain of the person who's under the IT umbrella versus the academic. because we run into that quite a bit. Both of my instructional designers report to me. I'm in IT, so they tend to think of us as the people that they come to when something's broken, not when they want to try something new. So in all of my messages, I talk about instructional design and design assistance, and we're here to help you from the start, not just when you get stuck. I'm also the one who talked about make sure we all know our scope, and we talk about that a lot, just to be sure we're not the people that lend out power cords or adapters when you forget your adapter.
Yep.
And also the scope being perceived as narrow. Sometimes people think we only help with online teaching, but really I've dropped online from any of our workshops and we used to have a separate set of even like guides, right? If you're teaching online, follow these guides. And if you're teaching in person, follow these guides. And we blended them all together because we want to support all types of teaching.
So, Lori, I'm the one that mentioned the one about being under the IT umbrella. So here's an example of what oftentimes happens. So we have our AV services, and the services are going to put all of that awesome equipment into the classroom. They're going to take care of getting the Crestron system set up. But then they look at our team to provide the training to the faculty on that. So, there's that question of then my people need to be trained on how to use the systems, the new systems, and then they provide the training to the faculty. And then now, a lot of times we get pulled in for so we'll train the faculty on how to use the system. Say we'll train them on how to use Zoom, but then they come back and they say, okay, I'm going to be using Zoom on Friday at 11 o'clock. Can you meet me at 10:30 to make sure that it's set up and running correctly?
Yes. Yep.
So we get pulled in all of those different directions, right? And then another example would be like with TaskStream. So we use TaskStream as our portfolio system. We don't technically own it. It's owned by the provost office, but we provide the faculty training on it and the documentation and the knowledge base. And then when something technical goes wrong with TaskStream, they come to us.
Sure.
So we're like that in-between person, like for single sign-on. Oh, single sign-on's not working. We're going to contact TLT and let them know single sign-on's not working.
Right.
And we have to contact our SSO people. So you get put in the middle a lot when you're kind of in this situation, and you want to do what's right by the faculty, but sometimes you get spread a little too thin.
One of the things there that can help is that sometimes we know the people across whatever the internal silos may be, that we know who to talk to, and okay, you make a ticket and then I'm going to connect you to Jenna because she knows this from that team. And sometimes, you have to try to be an advocate for your faculty, but it's so hard to avoid being sucked in sometimes to something larger that is not part of our focus. So bit of a balancing act there.
Jeremiah, I'm watching your hard stop at 2 o'clock, and we've got 2 minutes. Do you want to wrap us up?
Sure thing. I'll just quickly, since I have the floor, I'll mention too that even in the academic side, we can feel the pinch of being misperceived as the technology people. And a visual and a model that's helped me open those conversations, I just pasted in the chat, is TPACK. And that's simply, we've seen it before, the 3-circle Venn diagram that emphasizes we're not all technology, we're not all pedagogy, and if we're activating the middle, we can do great things with faculty who bring the content knowledge. So in the interest of time and to let you all be released at 2 o'clock, I will wrap it up. I want to thank our presenters, Lori and Jason. This was great. I will be sending out the recording of this meeting in an email soon, and with that, I will include the survey, similar to what Nita sent out back in August, a survey to ask our group collectively what topics we'd like to think about in spring semester. Thank you all for attending.
That's great. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a good afternoon.
You too.